Welcome to the 16th season of the Nitwits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel includes Neil Riddell of the Altoona Mirror, Mark Brennan of FightOnState.com, Jacob Cowker of WTAJ Sports, and a special guest Nitwit each week. The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells, Reed, and Solani, orthodontics for children and adults. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just ask rental. Buy what you want, rent what you need. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By Your Rehab Choice, Health South Altoona. Ask for us by name. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday.
Well, it is a bowl-clinching edition of the Nitwits alongside Neil Riddell, Mark Brennan, and Joe Nastasi. I am Jacob Cowker. For the first time since the NCAA sanctions came down in 2012, the Nittany Lions will be playing in the postseason. We'll have more on the big picture of that in just a bit. But first, Neil, how about the way that this Penn State team got there with that 30-13 win over Temple?
Well, I think it was the return of the run. I mean, this is Penn State football. It's getting a little cold. Donovan Smith back, Miles Diefenbaugh. And I thought Smith in particular, both those guys blocked for the run really well. They were back up to a 5-yard average. And, with the way Christian Hackenberg is struggling, to have a run game to go with this defense, I think made the difference in this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. And, there was another element there. I thought the special teams have just gotten better and better and better the last few weeks, but they're able to play field position now, and that was big in that game against Temple because it was close for a while, and then ultimately, how do they put the game away? Big plays on defense and running the ball, kind of classic Penn State football, and it was good to see. And I like the fact that in a game where Christian Hackenberg was struggling, everybody else kind of picked it up. Here's a kid who's led you to how many wins. Well, you know what? Now he's struggling, and the running game, the offensive line, the special teams pick him up. The defense has been doing it all year, but to see these other areas, I just thought was great for Penn State.
Yeah, and I thought that was classic Penn State football. It reminded me a lot of my days when I was watching some of the formations early in the game where we were running the ball, and that defense away, and I know we've talked about this, but talk about setting it up for the future. I mean, the way the defense is playing right now, if you're going to build a championship ball club, this is how you're going to start it. And these guys are young, and they just look really good. They're hungry. They're fast. I'm excited about, not only the remainder of this year, but next year. And good for them to get the extra bowl practice, so on and so forth. No matter what bowl we go to, it's going to be beneficial to this team.
Yeah, you saw Grant Haley and Christian Campbell making a couple big plays there. Brandon Bell getting that pressure on that pick six. He's only a sophomore. Just how about these young guns on that side of the ball right now?
I'm thinking this may be the fastest defense that Penn State has ever had. Did Franklin say last week that 3 of the 4 fastest kids on the team are freshmen?
4 fastest kids are freshmen.
Yeah, and 3 of them are on the defensive side of the ball, right?
Well, yeah, and then the amazing thing about, you talk about a Campbell, you talk about a Haley, these are guys that James Franklin recruited after he got here.
Yeah.
I mean, so think what he's going to be able to do and what he has been able to do already with this next class coming up. He's been able to add this sort of talent now, and I think you're going to see this in other positions too. It's just going to take longer because, as you know, as somebody who played, for the defensive backs, receivers, it's a little easier to make an early impact. For the offensive linemen, it's going to take them longer. But you look at these kids when we get a chance to see them at practice on Wednesdays, boy, they're long, they're big, and I think offensive line-wise, now it may take a little while, but he's kind of reshaping this team. And people may not want to hear it, but it's starting to look a lot like an SEC team very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be patient. Watching it, I know a lot of fans, and especially Penn State, we want it now, and that's understandable from our history. But a rebuild, which is what the NCAA has absolutely put us in, which we really never had to do. We've always been able to reload as opposed to rebuild. They forced us to rebuild. So to me, I'm really excited. I'm really happy the fact that we're able to get into the 6 wins and get our bowl bid. I think that's going to be extremely beneficial for us for the practice time and these newer kids coming in. So really happy with where we're going. We wish we had had a couple more wins. Sure, we could have dropped a couple that we won. So all in all, I think that we're all saying, look, looking back on it, good job so far, top to bottom. We're getting a lot better and building for our future here.
Yeah, when you talk about rebuilding, you know, you got a guy who really is putting such an emphasis on recruiting. Mm-hmm. Everything about the presentation of the program. You saw him yesterday, and they had a lot of people in the balcony watching the press conference, and Franklin makes a point saying, you know, these guys are freshmen. We like to play freshmen, and then he looks up at all these families up there. I mean, everything is calculated. Sure. But the program is going to be built, I think, on really aggressive recruiting.
And to go back to Joe's point, when you talk, I know that people are frustrated that they've lost some games, but imagine that in the early 2000s, Penn State with 85 scholarships had 4 losing seasons in 5 years. And now you have this program that has basically assured itself of a winning record. I mean, it could conceivably finish with a losing record with a bowl. But for 3 years, they've had winning records with the NCAA sanctions. I just think that's amazing.
They were
you have to take a step
when
back.
they had everything going for them.
That's what I'm saying. So I think now you look at it, and here they are. But I think if everybody takes one step back and thinks, wow, here this team is at 6-6, despite the sanctions, going to a bowl, it's kind of unbelievable to think where this team is right now. And that may sound like hyperbole, but I think it's amazing where they are.
And they still can, excuse me, Joe, they still could be 7-5.
Sure.
I don't know if they can beat Michigan State, but they're going to be favored this week.
Yeah, it was like a cleanse again. You know, they cleansed the. It's fun again at the end of the year. When we look back, everyone's going to say, you know, boy, I'm really excited about where we're going. And that was not easy to do. I mean, I know Coach Franklin really talked up a lot about the program and new and what we're going to do different. And some people were looking at maybe this year. But, you know, he really had high expectations, and he never said, well, no, I'm talking about 2 years from now. He started it now. He wanted the stands filled now. I think they're doing a great job. It looked like you know, we had a big crowd again for Temple. Those weren't always promises, you know, years ago. They just weren't. You know, so he's creating a lot of excitement. And again, to the recruiting part of it is what I'm really excited about, because they're being extremely aggressive in getting the kids in early. Because nowadays you do not know how long you're going to have those kids. Yeah. They could leave junior year and that's it. So get them in, and they're playing them early. That's good. And if you surround them with the vets, you know, they can make a difference. Yeah. They come in hungry. All
right, well, those are some of the positives from that Temple win. Still, we have to take a look at the other side of the coin here on the Nitwits. And by that, I mean Christian Hackenberg's play. He has not exactly been what a lot of people expected him to be this year. We'll take a look at maybe why these struggles are going on and how to get them fixed when we come back.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells, Reed, and Solani, orthodontics for children and adults. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just ask rental. Buy what you want, rent what you need.
Now back to the Nitwits. A roundtable discussion of Penn State football.
All right, well, the Nittany Lions are once again bowl eligible, and that does get some extra practice time. One of those guys that maybe could benefit from that, Christian Hackenberg, after the stellar freshman season, he's regressed here in his sophomore year. Is there a part about that that is the most troubling to you, Neil?
Well, let's go with Joe first, you know, the former player, and you know, I'm just wondering what you're seeing mechanically from him.
Right. Well, I mean, and we've discussed this off camera. He's admitted that his mechanics have gotten off with some of those, and a lot of that has to do with the physical play of him getting hit a lot, getting sacked a lot. That's going to change things, getting hit in the mouth. Also, he's a competitor. A lot of those sacks will be on him. He would admit to him. Deteriorated offensive line, that's going to cause him some footwork issues, not able to do exactly what he wanted to do. So, him going back a little bit, I mean, he's a competitor. He wants to make plays. It's difficult. He's under a completely different system. And he's 19 years old. I mean, he's still learning the game. I think that next year, over this time, him getting a chance to do a little bit more with this group of coaches, I think he's going to do well. I think we're going to be in for a pleasant surprise next year as far as his growth in 1 year.
Do people underestimate the transition process that it takes? How difficult that can be for especially a quarterback.
Well, I think it's not just the coaching staff change, though. It's the fact that he's had a much worse offensive line.
Sure.
And so you add those things together. I mean, to me, I think the biggest issue with Hack this year has been his lack of pocket presence. He just doesn't have a feel. It's almost as if his internal clock has been knocked out of whack by all these hits that he's been taking. And it's just, I don't know how you coach that up. I mean, Joe, you played. I don't know how you fix that sort of thing, because it's an innate ability that a lot of quarterbacks have and that we saw him have last year. But once you start getting more pressure, it kind of throws that out of joint, so to speak.
It seemed last year he was pretty comfortable in the pocket. A lot of those plays he made late to bring him back against Michigan were from the pocket. Now he's being forced to move. Yesterday, when he was on the run, he was pretty inaccurate. He's settled into throwing across his body. Some of his interceptions have been, just really bad. But, you would look at where this kid was after his freshman year. In some ways, there was only one way for him to go. I mean, he's being told he's going to be the #1 pick in the whole draft when he comes out. He's the freshman of the year. So, he's having a sophomore slump for sure. And I think it's a real leadership challenge for him to stay positive and be still the face of the team. And I think he's done better with that the last couple of weeks, even though he's been struggling.
But one quick thing, where has he been at his best? In 2-minute drills,
Yes.
where he doesn't really have to think. He gets
Right.
up there and they're moving quickly and things are happening. And that's why I think when he's in the course of a game, and I don't want to say taking your time, because you're never taking your time, it just doesn't seem. Yesterday was a great example. Saturday was a great example. There was at least 1 or 2 instances where he had all the time in the world and just did not throw the ball and ended up taking a sack or not making a play that was there.
You talk about resetting that clock. Could that month between, not to look too far ahead, but after that regular season is over, that time between the end of the regular season and the bowl, is that enough time maybe to kind of reset that clock? And would you be surprised if he came out in the bowl game and kind of went wild a little bit?
Well, they have. I mean, it's almost like having another spring ball really for the bowl game. That was what Joe always used to use for us, and I thought it was always good because you have a lot of time between the last game. Well, we definitely had a lot of time between our last game and then what would be our was always our New Year's Bowl game.
Yeah.
When I was there. So there's a lot of time there for them to prepare for next year as well. So they do get the opportunity for the bowl preparation, but they also are able to use guys and do what they have to do. And he'll certainly settle in. I mean, again, he's young. It doesn't seem like he is, but I think that over time, over the bowl practices, he's going to settle into their offense, and it's just a different scheme. He's doing different reads, and again, a lot of that's because he's a competitor. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want on your team. I understand it's easy to point fingers, but he is under a different set of rules that he's playing by now, meaning that he's got different checks, different reads, they're putting guys in different spots, and
he was also being mentored by one of the great quarterback coaches in the country at either level, and that transition. You would have thought he would have been able to make it a little easier for the new staff. I didn't think we thought that he would have the most difficulty making the transition. The other thing is, he had a touchdown pass drop yesterday.
Yep.
They can't seem on the same page with Kyle Carter. Kyle Carter had 35 catches 2 years ago, and he had a chance to come up with another one yesterday.
One last thing on Hack real quick before we get to a break. I'd just like to say, I think this kid has showed a lot of courage.
Sure.
And, you could criticize him for not completing passes, but he's showed courage, And when Franklin talked about him about maybe toning down the body language and stuff, he listened, he did that. He comes out after every game and talks to us. There are still a lot of solid leadership things there for this kid that, go ahead and be critical of him for his play, but there are still a lot of
tough.
good things.
I mean, he is tough. I mean, he is getting beat up, and he is getting up every time. So you really have to respect that as well.
All right, the return of the running game ought to help him.
Yeah. Sure. Well, Mark did mention we do have to take a break, and now that Penn State has punched its postseason ticket, it is time to let the speculation begin. We will weigh in on where we think the Nittany Lions will be bowling when we come back.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Monarch Cleaners for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South Altoona. Ask for us by name. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life.
Hi, I'm Daryl Clark.
And I'm Brett Brackett.
And you're watching the Nitwits.
Good coordination, fellas. Yeah. If nothing else, on the Nitwits, we are a service-providing show, and we know that it's a busy travel time of year when you're talking bowl season, so everybody wants to get a little bit of a head start. Where should people be buying their tickets now that Penn State is bowl eligible?
Well, I wonder about the trip to New York and Yankee Stadium. I don't think it's necessarily a destination vacation type thing, but a lot of people have spent a lot of money to go to Ireland. And I think that it would be really convenient for a lot of Penn State fans, get an ACC opponent for a while that looked like maybe a Penn State Pitt game, which would be cool. So, I mean, I think that would be pretty desirable. And like Joe said, you talk about the 15 practices and bringing a lot of these recruits in December around some of these practices, I think would make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool if they could end up in a Citrus Bowl or whatever it's called now, or an Outback, but they're not going to climb that high. Right. So I think as a Penn State fan, you have to look at it as, would you want to go to a bowl in San Francisco or San Diego or Dallas? Or, is there a kind of a cool element of playing in that Pinstripe Bowl? As Neil mentioned, it was too bad. I mean, if Pitt would have beaten North Carolina on Saturday,
like they should have.
It would have been there would have been a pretty good opportunity for that to play out. But even so, I mean, imagine Penn State, North Carolina in the Emirate Bowl, in the Pinstripe Bowl. So I honestly listen. I get that people really enjoy going to the warm weather and that sort of thing. But boy, if they could get in that Pinstripe Bowl, and I think the Pinstripe Bowl would obviously love to have them even now. Without winning another game, I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, it seems like that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to go up there. It'd be nice. I mean, it's with Joe being from Brooklyn, and them going back up there to New York, I can see that happening. Now, I'm going to guess that if you would ask the players, I know when I played, if they said, hey, where'd you like to go? San Diego sounds like a good spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, but from logistically, from a fan standpoint, I can understand that. But no matter where they go, I'm really a proud Letterman, alumni, etc. Just by how hard we play. I mean, I love the way that we compete, play hard. We will not give in. We will not give in as a community. Won't give in as a university. Won't give in as a football program. And I love that part because what a life lesson on how to just persevere whenever things aren't going so well in the worst way. And just proud of the club, and I'm really glad that they're going to be rewarded regardless of where they go.
One thing that always existed with their bowl scenarios, I know that the format has changed, but they were always better than everybody thought that they might be because of their drawing power. And I'm thinking that maybe the Big Ten finally throws them some kind of a bone. If it has.
Well, that is the wild card. I mean, the Big Ten, it's not going to be Delaney, but the Big Ten basically can assign teams to bowls now to prevent teams from going to the same bowl over and over and that sort of thing. And you have to wonder, again, if you're the Big Ten, you have this affiliation with the Pinstripe Bowl. What would be throwing more of a bone to the Pinstripe Bowl than getting Penn State there as opposed to a Maryland or somebody else? I mean, so I think that is going to play into it. In terms of, expecting any sort of favorable treatment from the Big Ten on Penn State's behalf, I will believe that when I see it.
Well, I think if Penn State would go to New York, I think you could see some records being broken, not only for that particular bowl game, but possibly for a non-New Year's Day bowl. As far as the number
27.
of blue and white fans that would be at that game would definitely be an impressive sight.
Especially if they play North Carolina.
Double the blue and white fans, exactly. See, you're always
trying to keep up with you.
You're a smart guy, and we'll find out just how smart you are when we come
Good
back.
segue.
We'll have predictions as Penn State heads to Illinois. Who you guys got? We'll find out when we return.
The Nitwits are brought to you by the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
All right, well, it is prediction time. Penn State hitting the road for their final game of the year away from Beaver Stadium, going to beautiful Champaign, Illinois to play the Illini. And nobody circles the wagons like Neil Rudell. He's making his charge in the Nitwit of the Year standings, so he gets to pick first after he got the Temple game correct.
Thank you, Jake. I'm just glad I'm not mathematically eliminated yet, Brennan.
Thanks. At least I haven't tried to cheat like some people,
yeah,
Mike
we'll
Irwin.
get to that next week. Penn State's not played well on the road, but I think their defenses gives them a consistent presence there with the running game back, and the site of Illinois and Tim Beckman will fire up the veterans here. I'd say Penn State 24, Illinois 14.
Joe?
All right, well, Neil, you almost took my score there, but I was thinking, I like the 24. I got Penn State 24. I think the defense is going to play well again, create the turnovers. Penn State 24, Illinois 13.
All right, you guys must have been reading my mind. I'm going with 24 points for the Nittany Lions as well. I think the defense is a little bit better than both of you guys do. 24-9 is where I'm going.
Wow, I will go 27-10. I think Penn State is going to play well, and I think they're going to be. I think there's, we tried to ask some of the players if there's still some motivation from Beckman Gate a couple years ago. They wouldn't bite, but I do think there's some motivation there. And Illinois has been playing some pretty bad football. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look at those Nitwit of the Year standings. And like I said, Neil is making his charge. He now has 2.5 footballs, which puts him 2 back of the lead. So if he wins,
I moved ahead of the deflated ball.
Yeah, exactly. So deflated ball is now in 3rd place. The guest is in 4th, and Mark. Wow. Man, he's really trying
what a gentleman, though. He did not squeeze me. I know he's tempted.
If these were, Neil knows this.
Tempted.
If these were settled at halftime of the games, I would be winning by far. But I'm not having a good year.
You're an honorary nitwit.
When the deflated ball is beating you, you're in trouble.
Putting the nit in nitwit. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of the show. Another good half hour. We'll see you next time here on the Nitwits.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells, Reed, and Solani, orthodontics for children and adults. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just ask rental. Buy what you want, rent what you need. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South Altoona. Ask for us by name. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the Nitwits on AltoonaMirror.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.